Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our second Meet the Superintendent community event. We are so excited to see you all here tonight, ready to meet Dr. Yarbrough. She's excited to meet you as well. We have a packed agenda. We have 1 hour, so we're going to get a lot in. I'm going to give you a little rundown of what's going to happen, and then we'll play a video from the county executive. Welcome our board member, Christina Pumphrey, to offer some remarks. Dr. Yarbrough is going to give a presentation. You'll notice on your table that there's question feedback card. So if you do not have a chance tonight to stand up, ask your questions, or if maybe you want it to remain private and just for Dr. Yarbrough to review, please jot your thoughts down, your questions down. We'll collect that at the end of the evening. And then we'll also be walking around with chart paper because during her presentation, Dr. Yarbrough is going to pose 3 questions to members of the community, to staff, everyone here tonight, and you're gonna have some time to talk amongst yourselves at the table, and then pick one person to report out and share what your group has discussed in response to the 3 questions that are up here. So I should have started by saying my name is Boyende Onijala. I am the Director of Communications and Community Outreach for Baltimore County Public Schools. And again, I just want to welcome you and thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules on a summer evening to join us tonight. Dr. Yarbrough is so excited to meet all of you, and we're gonna get a lot done in 1 hour. Just a few housekeeping things. When we are at the portion of the evening where we are reporting out, myself and my colleague, Mo Owens, we'll walk around with the microphones. Please don't take the microphones from us. We will hold on to them. We have a lot of questions and comments to get to, so we are going to ask that you please keep your questions, your comments to about 2 minutes. If you start to go a little long, you'll get a little nudge from me, you'll get a little nudge from Mo saying, wrap it up, so we can get to some other folks who have things to say and share as well. Again, if you do not have an opportunity to share your question, write it on the card. We will collect them at the end of the evening. We have interpretation services happening in the back of the room, so in case you hear some things and chatter in the back, that's what's happening. And we also have Ms. Suhan Su, our program specialist in charge of the Family and Community Engagement Unit, here tonight to share resources and information with all of you. So again, we have a lot to get through in 1 hour. We're gonna start with a video from our county executive, and then I'll welcome Ms. Pumphrey up to the podium. So let's get started.
Hey folks, Baltimore County Executive Johnny O here, and I just want to thank you and Dr. Myriam Yarbrough for being present tonight as she conducts her town halls and her meet and greets as she prepares to become our new BCPS superintendent. I have to say I'm really excited about the future of the school system and working with her and all of you. As county executive, as a former teacher, and now as the parent of a 2nd grader in our county school system. But I really just want to thank all the faculty and staff members for being here and all you do, the community members, and Dr. Yarbrough for being available and transparent and accessible in this process. I really look forward to all that we're going to do together in partnership in the years ahead. Thanks again for coming out tonight.
Thank you, County Executive. We are excited to work with Dr. Yarbrough as well. And so as I welcome Ms. Pumphrey up, I do want to take a moment to acknowledge board members who are here with us, if you don't mind standing. Our board chair, Jane Lichter. Board member, Emery Young. Board member, Tiffany LaShawn Frempong. We also have Delegate Cheryl Pasteur with us. Welcome, welcome. Do we have any other county officials, elected officials in the room? Hello, good evening. Welcome, thank you so much. And every single person in this room is a VIP as well, so welcome to you. All right, so Ms. Pumphrey?
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Christina Pumphrey, and I proudly serve as a member of the Board of Education of Baltimore County. On behalf of the board, I want to thank you for attending this Meet the Superintendent event. The school system has planned 8 meet and greets to provide members of the BCPS community opportunities to learn more about Dr. Yarbrough and her leadership priorities, ask questions, and share feedback. As she prepares to assume the role of superintendent on July 1st, I know that she is eager to connect with the community and learn about your experiences with BCPS as students, staff, parents, guardians, and caregivers. Members of the board will also attend these meetings because we too want to hear from you about what's working well and areas for improvement. The board believes that Dr. Yarbrough has the experience, passion, and vision to serve BCPS. She is a thoughtful leader who is prepared to respond to the urgent needs of Team BCPS. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Myriam Yarbrough.
Thank you, everyone, and good evening. As Ms. Onajala said, again, I want to thank all of you for taking time out of your busy schedules this evening in the summer to be here. I really appreciate you being here, and I really appreciate the opportunity to share with you what my leadership style is, what my core values are, and just what I think from being back in Baltimore County, some of our priorities are moving forward together. And so the first slide I have here is around my core values. I always share with everyone that I am a parent. I am a mom of 4 children, 2 boys and 2 girls, and so I know that when I send them out every single day, what it is that I expect for them to receive at school when I'm not there. It is that same thing that I know that you as parents expect, as staff members, we're trying to give to every single student in our building and in our buildings. And so when you have conversations with me, when we're making decisions, students come first. They are our #1 priority. They are the reason why we exist. At the heart of everything that we do, we're there to make sure that our students walk away from us after 12 years or a little more than 12 years with a set of experiences that help them to navigate successfully whatever their chosen path is. Strong relationships, trust, and mutual respect. I think if we are to really move forward and really focus on academic achievement, we must make sure that there is a foundation there. And the foundation has to be mutual respect. There has to be a foundation of strong relationships where you know that the school system has your best interest. If you're a staff member at heart, if you're a parent, you know that we have your child's best interest at heart. And as adults, we're all working together for the common good. Truth and action. The first part of creating a strong relationship is being open and honest. It's not being defensive, it's being willing to listen and being willing to tell the truth. Sometimes those truths are hard to hear, but we have to start a strong relationship by sharing what the actual state is if we want to move forward to the next state or our desired state. In terms of action, so it's good to have someone who's a listening ear. It's good to have someone where you feel that it is safe to share your truth, but you have an expectation. The expectation is after you share what the experience is, that we are taking some action. And that is part of my leadership style, that we are following through on our commitment to you. Again, whether you are a parent, you are a student, whether you are a staff member, that we have a shared set of commitments and we're following through on them in real time. I like to say that we're moving at the speed of schools. A standard of excellence. That is very near and dear to my heart. That when you think about Baltimore County Public Schools, there is a certain standard that we want you to associate with Baltimore County Public Schools. Part of that standard has to do with how well we communicate, that we are open, honest, kind, follow through in a timely manner, and that we are helpful to you. Again, no matter what stakeholder group, that you are clearly able to see that our focus and our intent is on being a good partner and taking care of our students on a regular basis. One of the topics that I'll speak about over and over again is about engaging all stakeholders. Again, part of my leadership style is bringing people in, making people feel comfortable to share what their experiences are, but also asking people, particularly those closest to the work, to engage in the problem solving. What are some of those solutions? So it's one part of the conversation to say this is a situation and we don't like it. But the other part is what are we going to do about it? And so I am encouraged and really appreciate all of you coming out, because as we think about the priorities that I'll share in a moment, I think our shared priorities that might not be different in any school system as you move forward. What we have to know and what we have to commit to is that it's going to take all of us to solve these problems. Oops. And so what are these challenges that I think face us? The first one is academic achievement. The value that I think being here 26 years ago brings directly to me is that I was here when we were at the top of the state of Maryland. I knew what it looked like, I know what it feels like, I know what I was doing in the classroom as a teacher. And so it's very easy for me to think a few steps down the road, how do we get back to that? Part of it is academic achievement. We know that we need to focus on teaching and learning in a very different way to make sure that all of our students are able to demonstrate on whatever type of assessment that they're taking, mastery of certain standards. We need to have a strong infrastructure, and for those of you who are BCPS employees, you know that since the cyber attack, sometimes some of the work that you're doing is taking longer than it should, and so we are committed to following through on some of the contracts that we have out to fix the infrastructure so that we're working more efficient, so that in turn, in terms of customer service, when you need something from Baltimore County Public Schools, you're able to get it very quickly and very efficiently, and we're doing everything in a user-friendly manner. Safety and climate. In order for us to get to the first goal of academic achievement, of focus on increased student performance, we must make sure that everyone is safe. I mean that as physically safe as well as socially emotional safe. And I don't only mean students, I mean everyone. Our students deserve to come to school and enjoy the experience as students in school, for them to be engaged and not be wondering about what will happen around them, but our staff also deserves those same things. Our teachers have very hard work, administrators, very hard work in front of them to take care of our students, and so they deserve to know that they will be safe in our buildings. And lastly, that's okay, he's good. And lastly, making sure that we have highly effective staff, whether we're talking about teachers, we're talking about leaders, we're talking about support staff, making sure that we have highly effective staff is critical to our work. Our work starts with our Department of Transportation. We have about 800 routes where we take more than 70,000 students to school every single day. That's out of 110,000 students. So our bus drivers and bus attendants are just as important as our classroom teachers, as our building principals, as our central office leaders. It takes every single one of us along the line to do our jobs, to do them well, in order to meet the needs of all of our students. And so, if you know me, you know I've done a lot of talking, which is not necessarily what I like to do. I like to engage. I am here because I want to engage with you. I want you to feel empowered, for you to share what it is that you hope to see in Baltimore County Public Schools moving forward. And so you're going to have about 7 minutes at your table to really talk about 3 questions. The first one is, what do you think Baltimore County Public Schools currently does well and you want to see that continue? The second question, what are your hopes and aspirations for Baltimore County Public Schools? And the third one, what are 2 areas of improvement that you would like to see us address immediately? So after you have an opportunity to share at your table, you will have someone that reports out, and then we'll come back together as a group.
Okay, I see people are still writing. Give you a couple more seconds to finish your thought. Think about who your spokesperson is going to be. I'm hearing a lot of "it's not me." All right, let's start wrapping it up. Lots of excited chatter, that is good. We have folks who have filled out 2 sheets. All right, we're gonna get started sharing out. And I am coming to this table with some very important people who are going to share their thoughts with us. So if we could have your attention. And please do not grab the microphone. I am going to hold on to this for dear life.
I'll have to hold your hand. Hi, everybody. We would love to see continued the improvements with our services, particularly our transportation services. They've been doing a wonderful job. In fact, Dr. Jess Grimm just shared a visual that was very helpful for me. He said twice a day, they fill Raven Stadium with students. That's how many students we're transporting to schools, and then they empty Raven Stadium and bring the students home. So that's an incredible image if you can think of 80,000 students being transported twice a day. I would like Dr. Yarbrough to bring us back to being number one in the state of Maryland, because I too have been working for a very long time and we deserve it. And then shameless plug for my new position as the Associate Director of the Education Foundation. I'd like to see that we continue to partner together to bring our students advocacy, fundraising, and special programs. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Mo?
I gotta hold it.
Oh, sorry.
No problem.
Sue, you want to come hold this? We said that we wanted to, sorry, can somebody, I'm like, there we go, my bad. All right, there we go. We said we wanted to keep the flexibility to adjust to changes. A lot of the things that we've had to change about in the last 3 years with the ransomware attack and COVID and everything else, there was a lot of pivoting, and we actually did it really well. And we need to keep doing that and just not be so fatigued from all the changes that we aren't also ready to go forward with positive changes. We wanted to keep local school spirit and community support. I feel like everybody loves their local school, but sort of feels like BCPS might be falling down in some areas. But we need to realize that those local schools are BCPS. And so when we talk about BCPS and we talk about that spirit, we need to engender that and create that sense of community. Because one of our hopes is that BCPS will be back on top again. When I grew up here in Baltimore County, we were the best school system. When I was looking for a job in 1990 to teach, I wanted to be in Baltimore County, and we want to see Baltimore County go back that way again. We'd like to reduce class size and building numbers of students. There's a million programs you can put into place, and a lot of them will work, just like there's a lot of ways to be a good parent, there's a lot of ways to do good education, but none of them will work if you have numbers of 32 to 35 in a class, and schools that are designed for under 1,000 that have over 1,200 students in the building and the kids are bumping into each other all day. A lot of these problems, a lot of these programs will work, and we'll be able to course correct if they're not, if we can just reduce those class sizes and those numbers in the buildings. We want to engender student success academically and have high academic achievement, and our improvement areas are for school safety and communication. We understand that there's privacy, but when there's an issue, for example, like what happened at Towson High School last year with some threats, the community was really fearful, and there were some basic PR, HR kinds of things that could have been done to alleviate that fear without violating privacy or letting us know about an ongoing investigation that just weren't done. That piece was missing, and I think in a lot of these school safety issues, even if it's just bullying at the local school level, if there's an issue with a student and you can't tell us what's been done to be addressed, but at least let us know and let those students know things are in place, things are happening, and we can't tell you exactly what, but we want you to know that there are things happening. I feel like there's that two-way communication piece that when concerns are shared, some type of feedback needs to be given to those stakeholders at all of those levels to know that something's being done.
Thank you very much.
Who's our spokesperson?
I shall do it, okay. And so our table here was talking about things that are working well. We want to celebrate access to professional learning. I think Baltimore County does really, really well with providing support to our schools at the school level, the CNI offices, and helping bridge the gap as stat teachers were removed from some of our schools, staff development teachers. That model has been kind of replaced now, but providing professional learning was something we talked about here at our table. And providing access to our second career professionals. We're trying to open the doors and the pathways for our teachers, to those vacancies to be filled. That's something I think Baltimore County is doing some good work in trying to make that pathway a little bit more easily accessible. It's also an area of improvement that we had suggested on our paper as well. Obviously, we know vacancies exist. They continue to exist. As school principals, we're continuing to build that pipeline within our buildings, building capacity, but the vacancies are there. And we know the number one impact on student achievement is the teacher in the room. So if we can't get people in the room, we have those gaps that will continue to perpetuate. So that's something we have here on our sheet. Area of improvement, safety and consistency, and trusting our school-based leaders. Trusting our school-based leaders to make those decisions, enhance that communication that this lady was speaking of, and making sure that we have the autonomy in our buildings to build, to have that relationship with our communities and that trust that we're going to be able to communicate those things that this lady is asking for. More reliable transportation, yes. We value our transportation people. We want to make sure that they continue to we celebrate them, but we still need that more consistent, those routes every single day. And we talked about having some time. How do we give our teachers time to, that was one of our hopes, time for teachers to be able to look at common assessments, look at the data, dive into that work, and be able to move achievement because we have time to look at the data.
Hi, we were talking about several things, and the first thing was what does BCPS do well, and we talked about art and music and dance and how this county highlights and bring to the forefront the abilities and the creativity of what our students do each and every day, and they don't hide it. It's always constantly broadcast and what our students do on a daily basis, and the art and the music and theater and all these things are, to me, completes that well-rounded education for a student because it keeps that mind going and creativity. As far as the aspirations and hope, as a BCPS student, I'm even trying to go down in age. As a BCPS teacher, I think one of the things in my aspiration and hopes will always be is that relationship between administration and teachers. And that relationship has to be cultivated. I often talk about, and even in workshops, about that triangle where we have teachers, parents, and students, and if any part of that triangle is broken, then it is actually a square because administration has to be into it as well. The relationship between administration and teachers and the value and respect, yes, we need time, but we also need the ability to say that we are human as well. During the COVID times, which we're still in, but in the very early stages, we were also often reminded of how we need to make sure that we understand what students are going through. And they needed to understand what we were going through too, because COVID didn't have a select thing. It didn't just hit students, it hit all of us. And the teachers need to be able to do that. And I want to be able to have administration to sit down and understand, I remember what it was like when I was in the classroom. I remember what that was like. I know what you're going through. And to sit back, and the teacher retention can help with that as well. Now, what's directly related to that is what we did with number 3 about what we need to improve on. And that is accountability for student behavior. If we have that square working, then we're going to have less of that student behavior, but we need to have true accountability for it. We can't have a student that's having major behavior issues, and then 2 days later there's no consequences or anything, or there's no intervention where we have all 4 people involved. Let's sit down and talk about what that student has done so that we can all be on the same page. A lot of times students are fair that I can do whatever I want to do and I will not be punished. I will not have any repercussions. I can just move on with my daily life. And that disrupts education, it disrupts the school day, and if that relationship with that square is complete, truly complete, then a lot of these things will be resolved. And also student achievement, absolutely. I wasn't here with number 1 because I was in a different career, but I can't wait till you make it number 1 again so I can still be part of it. So thank you very much.
Good morning, Lloyd Allen, bring greetings from TABCO Board of Directors. Transportation is vastly improved from the previous year to this past academic year. Technology resources are readily available and in students' hands, and most teachers know how to make use of those, especially after the state of emergency. Hopes at this table were that we will have effective community schools that are implemented with fidelity. This is really difficult because it requires getting input from all stakeholders, all families, even families who don't respond to opt-in surveys. How do you get input from families who have a hard time reaching back out? We hope that students are authentically put first in all decisions, and in particular, special education staffing is a little rough in some places potentially. So we want to make sure that appropriate resources are allocated to meet the needs of all students, particularly students with disabilities from birth to 5 through high school, through alternative schools. With regard to discipline, comes back to the R relationship that we just heard about. We need PBIS to be positive behavior intervention strategies to be implemented with fidelity, which requires getting feedback from the community again. Teachers can guess what families and students want, but unless it actually comes from the families, we're probably wrong.
What we thought was wonderful about BCPS is our GT and our top AP students are graduating with a world class. They're getting into Harvard, they're doing great. So we want to keep that, and we want everyone else to join. We also feel that like our elementary teachers are doing a great job with communication. We're seeing that, acknowledging that maybe drops off a little in middle and high school, and understandably they have much bigger class loads to address, but that communication piece becomes even more important at the middle and high school, because that's when our little kids get squirrely and they don't want mom and dad to know what's going on, so we need to tighten that piece up. Our aspiration is, again, thank you for BCPS to be in a top 10, and we were reflecting about, we all graduated at different times, so we were reflecting about how it's been over the years, and we want to see that top 10 again. And another hope is that our facilities, and I know we have a great plan for that, so I know that's going to happen, and we're looking forward to that. Some really things that we feel should be priorities moving forward are discipline, particularly in the elementary school. We believe strongly in restorative practices, and that's an important component in learning, but some children really need to see like a consequence. I don't know what that looks like and how to do that with fidelity, but particularly in the younger ages when they're learning, understanding. I know when kids are like running around, their brains are developing, and we need them to not develop habits that then go into high school from middle school particularly. Before and after care is super important for parents. That's an access and equity issue. And before care is not opening on days where there's delays, so then that creates hardships for families. So they'd like to see more consistency for all schools to have those programs. Additionally, access to clubs during the day, because a lot of kids can't stay for clubs after school, and we want them to be a part of the community. We want them to engage in these rich activities that we have. Of course, improving reading and writing. I know we're working on that. Part of having staff is being able to get HR to get those offers out quickly. We're losing interns by not, other counties are getting offers out more quickly, so we want more quick recognition and offers out to our wonderful interns. I think someone else said this, but it bears repeating, decreasing class sizes. Again, those lower class sizes allow teachers to develop relationships with students and parents. Increase resources for supports for kids, and tech programs for ESOL kids, summer, after school, something. But a lot of our ESOL kids are dropping out to go to work, and we want to see them in school learning, but they need skills. That's, for a lot of them, what they're looking to gain.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Here's my spokesperson.
And before we do that, we want to take a moment to recognize Delegate Kathy Forbes. Are you here? Thank you for joining us. And the Honorable Julian Jones, thank you, sir, for joining us, County Council Chair. Thank you. All right.
Okay, so what we're doing well, which way would you like me to go? All right. Choices and opportunities, both academic and extracurricular. We like that next year all students will have free lunch. To piggyback on what Dr. Wooldridge said, meaningful partnerships with our outside partners, like she mentioned, and things like CCBC and other opportunities for students for internships, et cetera. Not only do we want to be first in the state, but we want to lead the nation, not only in student achievement, but also in eliminating gaps. So getting rid of those disparities we have between student groups. And then our improvements that we're doing, and we're already making progress in this, it's obviously work in progress, but the restoration and enhancements of systems that were pre-cyber attack are, important for us to get back to where we were before. And then also our social and emotional status of our students and parents and teachers from COVID. So we don't just think it's one group, we think it's everybody who's recovering during that, from the devastating time. Thank you.
So some things that we really like at our schools is it's a very inviting environment and engaging to be in school for the most part, and we feel safe at school for the most part. We also, we go to Hereford in particular, but at our school we feel like we have the opportunity to explore tons of different clubs and tons of different classes. If we wanted to take astronomy, we could go and take astronomy, and we're really grateful that we have that opportunity at our school. Our aspirations for BCPS is like 100% proficiency on high-stake assessments and security on those assessments, and an increase in the graduation rate and decrease of the dropout rate, obviously. We also, for improvement, we would really like to see more areas for student expression in schools, whether that's decorating lockers or painting parking spots or whatever that may be. Like, that area for student expression is something we really like to have, something we really value. And ways for students to reach out if they're having conflicts with teachers or administration, just that communication with guidance, whoever that may be, is really helpful for us.
Oh, goody. All right, our group that seemed to dwindle said that Baltimore County Public Schools does a really good job of having and maintaining multiple modes of communication and different mechanisms for including families, elected officials, stakeholders, and business and community people. Now, we didn't say that it's always done well, but we have them. So we want to make sure that we are growing that communication level, because that's critical. And I think a number of people have said it, even if they didn't use the word communication, that how we get information, how we share information is so very important, that a level of transparency, where possible, is always in the mix. And it really does keep down on a lot of the issues that we have. Our hopes and aspirations come from that, and I do believe, Dr. Yarbrough, you said it in your opening, that we want to address the multiple needs of individuals, not just our students, but our teachers as well. Not only do we make the assumption that all children learn the same way, that if you're in GT, that all of the children in that class are going to learn the information, get it at the same rate, and no matter where you are, if you have disabilities, that one thing will fit all. We can't do that. But along with that, we should not make the assumption that our teachers all are able to do what we're asking them to do in the classroom. So as we are assessing them, and also as we are selecting administrators, school administrators, having people who understand that our teachers also have their learning styles and their teaching styles, and that means that professional development must be varied. It cannot be in one modality, that we have to respect the multiple needs and styles of everyone, students and teachers. And someone else said it, and we said it. We want to become the leader in eliminating disparities. I actually, whether we're leaders, we're going to do that by making it real, not by looking over our shoulders to measure what another system is doing or what other groups of people are doing, but knowing that we're doing what is right for our children, which means we're doing right for our staff, and that we are doing it with integrity and we're doing it deliberately, not accidentally. And then our needs. We want to see an expansion of pre-K, which of course we all know is a part of Blueprint. And that means being very careful and again, deliberate in how we are preparing ourselves for the Blueprint. That it is not by accident, nor is it by law, but it is by integrity, and it is by what is good for children and what makes sense to move our young people. And that every child deliberately, and I've used that word a lot, because we must be deliberate in how we grow this system. And I have been in this, or was in, I sometimes think I'm still in Baltimore County Public Schools, but I was here when we were at the top. And many of the things that were done were definitely done with deliberation and deliberately. So every child must be connected to an adult within every school. And we've said that for a while now. But we must make sure that our administrators are doing it with fidelity. That when they see children who have issues that might turn into behavioral problems, that before we're quick, we want to have the discipline that they need to have. But children don't just jump out the box and just decide, you know what, today I think I'm just going to be a problem forever and ever. So we start seeing behaviors early on, and we need to be processing those behaviors and processing who might be able to talk to that child and get to that child before it becomes a problem. Do I sound like I miss teaching? Yes.
Always a teacher. Yeah, basically. That's okay.
Hola, buenas tardes, damas y caballeros. Mi nombre es Carla Vigil.
My name is Carla Vigil.
Y estoy aquí alzando mi voz, lo bueno.
And I'm here to create awareness and raise my voice to let people know.
Lo bueno que a mí me gusta de BCPS es que me atiende los correos electrónicos y las llamadas casi inmediatamente.
One of the things I want to share is that what we like from Baltimore County Public Schools is that they hear me and they answer my calls immediately, especially when it has to do regarding attendance. Via email, they let us know immediately.
Sí. Otra cosa que a mí me gustaría, una mejor comunicación, la verdad. Siempre que yo estoy en la escuela o que yo necesito algo, siempre pues estoy limitada por el inglés y me gustaría que no me pongan un teléfono con un traductor. Me gustaría que una persona cara a cara, que el mensaje llegue, lo que yo quiero transmitir sea comprendido.
What I really would like to, is to, when I make a phone call or when I come to the office, that somebody will not just translate to me, but by a phone call or using a phone translator, but someone will communicate with us in our own language. Because if not, then it's a broken communication and we don't understand each other, because cultural differences is not just translation, it's communication.
Sí, yo soy de las personas que comprendo y entiendo mejor cuando se me habla cara a cara, y si yo no logro comprender a la primera y me vuelven a explicar, yo voy a tener ese mensaje correctamente.
I am the kind of person that I like to speak with someone face to face, looking at me, and maybe I don't understand at the first time, but maybe the second time when somebody explains to me, I will get it and I will follow through. But when somebody is talking to me on a phone, translating, literally translation, I don't get it.
Sí, para que nuestros hijos sean mejores estudiantes, tiene que haber una buena comunicación de padres con los maestros y entonces siempre tiene que haber una buena retroalimentación, una buena relación en ese sentido. Es muy importante que hayan personas que nos comuniquemos cara a cara. Es sumamente primordial que BCPS contrate personas que estén de planta en la escuela para poder ayudar a todos estos padres que hablen español.
Okay, but I remember. It is very important that we remember that it is crucial for our children academic improvement to have a good communication, parent and teacher communication, that we understand each other, that they will do better, but we need to understand, we need to have better communication. So for us as parents, Latino parents, we need the school system to hire bilingual people, Spanish-speaking staff that will be able to speak with us. And here are some other parents that are shaking their heads. ¿Alguna cosa que usted quisiera decir también, señor? ¿Lo mismo? I just asked him. He's shaking his head and saying, yes, the same thing. Same, communication in our own language by another human being who understands us. We don't need translator documents. Only we need someone that talks to us.
Para mí es sumamente importante esto de la comunicación porque yo soy madre de un niño con necesidades especiales y cuando estoy como en una reunión o necesito preguntar algo sobre el IEP de mi hijo, yo necesito que sean breves, claros y precisos con respecto a la educación de mi hijo.
For me, it's very important because I have a child who is in special education. And when I am in a meeting, it is so hard to, number one, understand all the terminology of a special education in English, but not, and can you imagine having a phone translator telling me the literal translation of what is being discussed is just, it is very difficult.
Sí.
Oh, okay. We're going to have to wrap it up. Yeah, we have to go to the next. Thank you. If you have anything else, just write it down. Okay?
We're not building trust here, are we? All right. So as a group of students and parents, we have a slightly different perspective, and maybe a lot of the people in the room. We start off our number one thing on the things that we like about the school system is the teachers. We have teachers who like teaching. We have teachers who make warm classrooms. We have teachers who really go the extra mile to understand their students and make their students feel at home, and we're really happy with that. We also really like the what I call the Education Plus, the AP programs, the magnet programs, the extracurricular programs. This is something that we all felt that Baltimore County is doing reasonably well, quite well, excuse me. On the other hand of that, we feel that Baltimore County, it's not one Baltimore County, it's quite an uneven school district. There are some schools that are very warm. There are some schools that have excellent academics. There are some schools with lots and lots of extracurriculars, and there are others that aren't doing so well. And we felt that that's an injustice, really. We're also worried a lot about teacher retention. There are probably a lot of people in this room who can tell us a lot more about teacher retention than we can, but we do notice that the schools cycle through teachers very, very fast. Our principals are always scrambling to fill spots over the summer, over the Christmas, in the middle of the year. It seems to be a recurring problem at the moment. We can't not mention transportation. We can't not mention the issues of communication. What have I missed? Have I got it all? Yeah. Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, so at first, initially, I'm a new special educator, So I just moved here in 2019 when my youngest one graduated from Montgomery County Public Schools. And I switched careers because my children were very fortunate to have me as a mom and to do well and to go to college. And I have a rocket scientist as a child. I have my daughter who's finishing up school. She's majoring in human resources, and this one here is following in my footsteps. I used to be a cartographer for an intelligence agency. I can't name it. However, I do live here in Towson, but I work on the eastern part of the county. I work at Stimmers Run Middle School. It's one of the community. It just became a community school, and it's an underperforming school. And one of my aspirations and hopes for BCPS is to encourage more parent involvement. There is such a lack of parent involvement, which when we talk about the square, or we could say the circle, the village, the community, everybody has to be involved. I've only been there for this past school year, and I noticed a lot of things. I'm a case manager with a caseload of 15 students, and I was teaching math, the new curriculum, illustrative mathematics, which is very difficult for our students because of being 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. They're reading at a 1st and 2nd grade level. And that curriculum is all project-based, and it's so sad to have to force feed the curriculum to our students when there's so many major gaps. I'm feeling overwhelmed, and I'm questioning myself like a lot of other people, like, what am I doing? But there's no other way for me to say this. I have to be more effective, and I do need the support from the staff. I'm not getting that as a new educator. I would like to have a mentor, a teacher mentor. We don't have that where I'm at. I would like to have more time to train, to attend some of the virtual trainings. And I'm going to be working this summer at ESY, not at my school. My school only lets people that have been working there for a while do the summer school there. So they said it's based on who's been doing it. So I had to go outside of my school, which I really love working at that school. I love the students, although they do have challenging behaviors, but it's not us, and it's not, I don't take anything personally, even though I had a very rough year. I can see why that one school had a turnover rate of about 40 staff members within the last school year. But I would love support. Thank you.
Okay, we'll be very quick. So something that we said that BCPS is doing very well, and this is a message that comes from the top down, is that every child can learn. And everyone believes that in the system from the top to the bottom. The other thing is that we said that BCPS does a really great job of making everyone feel like they belong and inclusive. And as you can see here today, we are a cafeteria full of teachers, staff members, administrators, parents, students, so we can tell that we all have a sense of belonging here. And as well as that, BCPS is always pushing better equity practices. We're always looking for that next step in making sure our equity practices are excellent. So one thing that we hope and our aspiration for BCPS is that we want to remain the leader and innovator for K through 12 arts education. I, as the dance and theater resource teacher here at BCPS, I am fortunate to get phone calls from some of our friends from other counties looking and asking what we're doing. And that should be how we are across the entire county. Oh, it's the last one. Oh, sorry. One thing that we said, and we just wrote this down, is like what immediate actions that can be made. We just wrote things like quality time, relationships, and pouring from a full cup. And I think is when teachers, parents, and students, when they have quality times with their family, with their friends, we all can pour from a full cup and therefore create better relationships in the school. Hopefully that was really quick. Thank you so much.
Do some questions. Yeah, you can just.
All right, we want to be respectful of your time. We're at 7 o'clock, but we want to take a few general questions. Then Dr. Yarbrough will offer some closing thoughts and responses to what you all have shared. So does anyone Let me not say does anyone. Yeah, I saw a hand go up before I said does anyone. I know you all have a lot to say. We do want to respect your time and understand that people have places to be, things to do. So we will take a few questions. His hand shot up before I even finished my sentence, so he will go first. And if you're going, I'm sorry.
So I have 2 young kids, 2 young children, elementary school, and I'm just starting to learn about the public school system. What are you doing to ensure that county public schools have before and after care? We received an email last week that Fort Garrison Elementary may not have before and after care if Caliday, the third-party contractor they use, does not hit their quota of 25 kids by July 31st. I don't know about you guys, but with inflation and prices, 2 working full-time parents can't get the kid to school at 9 and pick him up by 3. It's impossible. So this is really important to us and a lot of people I know.
So I can tell you that before and after care, there's all by contractors. So thank you for sharing, the most recent email that you received. What we can do is convene a meeting with our partners to find out if there are other opportunities that exist, particularly if there are some existing partners that would like to go to schools where a partner is probably choosing to opt out. It's definitely something that we can explore. Being a working mom myself, I understand that we rely on morning care and aftercare or someone to get our students to school. So I think there's an opportunity for us to look into, to speak with our partners from county government and from child care agencies to see if there are any opportunities that exist to help.
I wanted to speak to the parents, like you had mentioned you teach at Stemmers Run. I actually treat in that area, and I'm going to tell you that the parents are not engaged. And I don't know that you can change that. And I don't know that that's anybody's fault. And from what I gather when I talk to my patients, I even told them about the boundary study. I'm like, look, this is going to affect you. I don't care what you're voting for, but you should know this. They are worried about getting to tomorrow. They aren't even thinking about down the line. I don't think you're going to change that. I grew up in that community. I grew up with my parents not speaking English, so I totally sympathize with them. But I used my head and the education I got from BCPS, and I made decisions that changed the track of my life. And I'm here, I'm successful, and I am that child that you're talking about. So it's possible. I don't know that that's on the teachers or on you, to be honest, to change that. They think they're good parents. I'm not here to judge who's a good mom and who's not a good mom. I don't know what I'm doing is right. So they think they're good moms and dads, and you can't change that. So I just wanted to tell you that, because I think we keep talking about parent engagement, and I think that the elephant in the room is those parents think they're doing a good job. We think maybe they're not up to par, but they're not going to change that way.
So I appreciate you sharing that, and what I would offer is a different perspective. I would offer that those parents are doing a good job, that their priorities might be a little different, and many of those parents trust us as a school system to do right by their children on a regular basis. Now, if we want to increase parent engagement, which we must, to hear their direct feedback and what works for them, then we need to be flexible in our approach. We need to differentiate our outreach. We can't only use the traditional times where people are working 9 to 5 and say a 6 o'clock meeting, and that should work for everyone. We need to have some times in the morning, sometimes midday. And I also, since I was a former building leader, I can't turn around and expect a building leader to be able to offer all those things when they have a full school and their own family. So that's where we need to come in as central office to put our heads together of how can we support families. So my different perspective would be that all parenting doesn't look the same. I have to believe that all parents want to do right by their children, and that when they send their kids so many hours to us as a school system, like your parents were, they were trusting us to do right by you. And we got it right for you, but we need to get it right for many other children. We need to provide opportunities for parents and other caregivers to partner with us. And I love everyone who was talking about that square. We need that square, and the piece that we need to add are community members, because so does the school system goes, is so as our entire county goes. So we need everyone's voices valued at the table. So I appreciate you sharing that perspective, and I appreciate you offering me the opportunity to share. It might not look traditional, but I have to believe that as parents, when we give birth to children, we want the very best for them. And when we send them to this very safe place called school, we expect them to be educated and for them to walk out as good people. And we entrust the adults in that building to take care of everything else that they need during those hours. Thank you.
Okay, yep. I have two quick comments and then a question. Comment one is we need a strong cell phone policy so we can focus on learning. That is critical. Cockeysville Middle does an absolutely outstanding job with theirs. I'd like to see that across the board. The other thing is I think substitutes need more training and support. I happen to be one of the few with an education degree, but many are not. I also would like to see Kelly Education go and more that funding go towards the actual training of subs. The last thing is, with the whole academic outcomes and all that had come along with that, are you willing to do the hard things of possibly restructuring staff, moving them around, even getting rid of them? We've had a lot of piecemeal curriculum and a lot of constant changes, but nothing seems to be sticking. But maybe we need to look at other people to do that work.
Thank you for sharing. So your first points about Kelly subs and additional money and funds, I can share with the group that we were successful in negotiating with Kelly subs a lower rate. So the differential, I think it was $2 million that everybody was seeing in the budget book, we were able to come to the table and reduce that so that we are spending the funds on our teachers and nurses and other substitutes that we need. Your feedback about the additional training that is needed is certainly something we can bring to them. Kelly subs have come to the table in earnest that they desire to work with Baltimore County moving forward, and so I believe that their leadership would be open to the needs that we have for our staff. In terms of your last comment on academic achievement, what I can tell you is I'm 100% committed to all of the students in Baltimore County Public Schools. I'm also very committed to our staff, and I know that we cannot take care of our students without taking care of our staff. As I said at the top of the hour, part of my leadership style is bringing people closest to the work, to the table, to engage in the conversations where we're able to speak honestly and in truth about what our current state is and what our desired state is, and people who are experts are able to share what they think that problem solving looks like, what we need to do. With that being said, I also believe that we can't move forward with the status quo and keep everything the same and expect different results. But that's going to take the work of all of us. And wherever we find ourselves in terms of changes that we need to make, that's the work that I think we're all committed to doing. And when I say all, again, I mean all the stakeholders who have shown up tonight and those other stakeholders who are trusting us with their, best, their children. And so thank you for raising that as well. Thanks.
And just in case you didn't see, Dr. Yarbrough actually did announce restructuring of central office. I just wanted to add that point. It's on the website to move resources closer to schools and make sure that we have effective, highly effective leaders doing this work that you just outlined. So I just wanted to put that little plug in, Dr. Yarbrough, because we actually did just share that information about changes that we're making to central office. Any other questions? Oh, okay. Last one, because we're at 7:10.
It's really a wish that we could look at less standardized testing and more recess for students. Our middle schoolers have 0 recess, 0 out time, and I don't know if people are aware of that or not. If you put 11, 12, and 13-year-olds in a building for 7.5 hours a day, you're going to have a lot of these issues that we're talking about, and the test scores aren't going to be great, so they might go hand in hand, and I would really like to see some initiative for that for our kids.
Before Dr. Yarbrough offers her closing remarks, just a reminder that if you didn't get a chance to ask your question, please fill out the feedback card, the question card. We are going to collect all of the chart paper. If you've been wondering what we're going to do with it, we promise that we're taking it back to our office, writing out all of the thoughts that you've shared with us. This information will be available as Dr. Yarbrough continues her entry plan and meeting with the community. We're going to share it with Team BCPS so you can see what that feedback has been across the 8 schools that we are visiting. And so that information will be shared with Team BCPS in the coming weeks. So please take a moment to fill out your cards. We're going to come around and collect your chart paper. Thank you so much. If you have nothing else to do tomorrow, come join us at Dundalk Solars Point for the next Meet the Superintendent event. We have 6 more to go. So thank you all. And Dr. Yarbrough, your closing remarks.
Just want to thank all of you, and I will certainly take that point back regarding middle school recess. Testing, you know, there are some laws regarding tests that we have to give. Yes, and I see my TABCO table shaking our head, although we would gladly reduce them, but we want to be compliant with the law, and we want our students to be able to demonstrate what they know and what they're able to do as well. Some of the themes that I heard this evening, safety being of primary concern, teacher and staff retention, communication, as well as opportunities for students, whether we're talking about activities, student engagement, and student expression. I am pleased that 3 of the 4 items are already listed and identified as priorities for the school system, and I am quite encouraged about the work that we have ahead of us. I appreciate all of you taking the opportunity this evening to engage with me. All of you clearly demonstrated by your open sharing that you felt empowered, and I want to let you know that this is not one and done. This will absolutely continue around many topics. There will be opportunities for you to share your input and feedback, and it's only through working together that square or even beyond the square where we're bringing in the broader community that we'll be able to move forward and excel. So thank you, all of you this evening, and please have a wonderful, safe ride home. Thank you.